Have you ever met someone who walked into your life quietly, only for you to realize later they carried a secret that could change everything? This is the story of Daniel, a struggling single father, and Lily, a college girl who rented a room in his modest home. What Daniel didn't know was that Lily was no ordinary student. She was the daughter of one of the richest men in the country. But sometimes, money is not the secret that changes lives, it's the heart behind it. Daniel Matthews stood on the porch of his small, aging house, holding a room for rent, sign in one hand and a sigh in his chest. Life had not been kind to him. His wife had left years ago, leaving him to raise his 10-year-old daughter Emily alone. With bills piling up, his salary as a mechanic barely stretched far enough to cover food, let alone rent and school supplies. But Emily never complained. She was his light, the reason he woke up each morning despite the exhaustion that clung to his body like a second skin. That morning, after dropping Emily at school, he hammered the room for rent sign into the front yard and prayed someone decent would come along. By evening, a knock came at the door. Standing there was a young woman, her long brown hair tied loosely, her eyes warm yet carrying a kind of sadness Daniel couldn't place. "Hi," she said softly. "I saw the sign. I'm Lily. Is the room still available?" Daniel looked her over. She was maybe 20, carrying nothing but a worn backpack and a small suitcase. There was no arrogance, no showiness, just a simple request in her voice. "Yes," he replied, motioning her in. "Come take a look." The room wasn't much. Just a small bed, a desk, and a cracked window that overlooked the street. But when Lily stepped inside, her face softened as if she'd found something rare. "It's perfect," she whispered. "Perfect." Daniel chuckled. "It's barely standing," she smiled. "Sometimes perfect doesn't mean shiny or new. Sometimes it means it feels safe." Something in her tone made Daniel pause, but he let it slide. She handed over the first month's rent in cash, no questions asked. That night, as Daniel tucked Emily into bed, Emily whispered, "Dad, is she going to live with us now?" "Yes, sweetheart," Daniel said, "just for a while." Emily smiled sleepily. "She seems nice. I like her." What Daniel didn't know was that Lily was no ordinary college girl. She wasn't there because she needed shelter. She was there because she was running away from something money couldn't fix. Over the next weeks, Lily became part of the household. She helped Emily with homework, cooked meals when Daniel worked late, and even laughed with them at the dinner table. For the first time in years, their little home felt warm again. But Daniel noticed things. Lily's phone calls she always declined, the way her eyes glazed over when she heard news about billionaires or corporate scandals on TV, the expensive watch she once forgot on the kitchen counter but quickly hid away. One evening, Emily asked innocently, "Lily, why don't your parents ever visit you?" Lily froze. Her fork clinked against her plate. "They're busy," she said quietly, forcing a smile. But Daniel caught the flicker of pain in her eyes. And though he didn't press further, he knew she was hiding something big. It happened on a rainy Friday night. Daniel had just returned from work, drenched and exhausted, when he saw a sleek black car parked outside his house. Two men in suits stood by it, their eyes scanning the street like hawks. Inside, Lily sat on the couch, pale and trembling. "Daniel," she whispered, "I need to tell you something before they come in." Daniel frowned, concern spreading. "Who are they?" "My father's men," she admitted, her voice breaking. "I didn't want you to find out like this, but my father is William Harrington." Daniel froze. Everyone knew the name. Harrington, the billionaire tycoon who owned half the city. The man whose face was on magazine covers, who controlled empires with a phone call. "You're his daughter?" Daniel asked slowly. "Yes," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "But I didn't want to live that life anymore. I didn't want to be surrounded by cameras, bodyguards, and fake friends who only cared about my father's money. I wanted to be normal. To live in a place where laughter is real and kindness isn't bought." Daniel didn't know what to say. He glanced at Emily, who stood in the doorway, wide-eyed. "Lily's still Lily?" Emily whispered softly, as if defending her. "She's our friend." Lily sobbed at that, pulling Emily into a hug. The men knocked on the door then, sharp and demanding. Lily's father hadn't sent them to drag her home, not this time. Instead, a letter was delivered. It was from William himself. "Lily, if you want to live away from us, I'll let you. But I want you to be safe. And if these people have cared for you, then I want to meet them." When Daniel read the letter aloud, the room went silent. Days later, William Harrington himself arrived at Daniel's modest home. The billionaire who commanded skyscrapers sat awkwardly at Daniel's worn kitchen table, listening as his daughter laughed with Emily in the next room. And for the first time in years, William saw his daughter truly happy. "I owe you something, Mr. Matthews," William said, his voice thick. "You've given Lily what I never could, a home that feels real." Daniel shook his head. "No, sir. She gave us just as much. She made my daughter smile again. She made my house feel like a family." William's eyes softened, and though he was a man of power, in that moment he simply looked like a father who realized what mattered most. In the weeks that followed, Lily chose to stay. She still studied, still shared dinners with Daniel and Emily, still laughed at silly jokes. She visited her father, but on her own terms. And Daniel, he no longer saw Lily as the billionaire's daughter. She was simply Lily, the girl who brought sunshine into his broken life. By the end, Daniel realized something profound. Family isn't about blood or money. It's about love, laughter, and the people who choose to stay, no matter what. So if life ever feels heavy and you feel like you don't have much to give, remember Daniel's story. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can offer someone isn't money or luxury. It's kindness, a safe space, and love that asks for nothing in return.